What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another deck profile here on TCGU University for the card game UniVersus. My name's Tam, and today I'm going to be showing you the Seigfried deck that we played for this week's Budget Beatdown. Let's jump into it. All right, you guys, so Budget Beatdown. The goal of this campus championship is just to take and show you a cost-effective way to play the game. All of the decks that we're showing in this playlist are going to be $50 or less. And so with that, let's jump into what Seigfried does. Seigfried is a very interesting character. He wants to take and flip my opponent's entire staging area, so he kind of gets to just go buck wild with some of the new cards from the most recent Soul Calibur set. He says, after you block a card, you get to build it into your staging area for free, and so your blocks just have way more value on them. He also says that as we take and we check a 4, my attack's going to get +3 damage, your attack's going to get -2 damage, and then bonuses the attack stat can't change. And so as I throw an attack, I can make it get +3, and then my opponent can't lower it down to 0. Just a really, really strong play. Or I'll give the first thing I'll do is I'll give their attack -2 damage, and then they can't pump it up. Very, very strong character defensively, and will eventually just whittle you down. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into our attacks. So the first attack that we're playing 4 Vicious Madness. Honestly, this card's just in here because it's an 8 damage throw. 8, 9th, and 11 off of Seigfried, and then it can't get any lower. 9 times out of 10, I didn't even bother with the lose 2. It can't be partial because it's just an 11 damage throw that they have to deal with. They just have to deal with this card. It doesn't really go towards or against my playstyle at all. It's just really big damage to like push them into the danger zone a little closer. Up next, we're playing 4 Pilgrimage. This card just says flip one of my cards, which means they have 1 less cancel that they can do off of Seigfried. And then if they have 3 or more foundations, which hopefully they do, I get to draw a card and replace itself. It's a 3 mid for 8. They're probably going to block it, but that's not its job. Is not to do damage. Its job is to push my game state forward. In the same vein, I've got 4 Reborn Grinder. This card just gets really, really stacked. It can become like a 9 damage attack very, very quickly. Gets 2 damage off of itself, and then 3 off Seigfried, and they can't mess with it. And then after this card resolves, I can add it to my staging area face down. My opponent can flip a card to cancel. And so it lets me build down as a foundation and continue to be aggressive on my turn. Or I do have some cards to pick my face down cards up. Or they can flip a card to cancel, which means my Seigfrieds just become even more free later in the game. My attacks just hit bigger, hit harder because of it. Up next, we've also got 4 Spinning Pile Driver. This card is just Pilgrimage, except for I get to flip the card, and it's just a 4 damage throw. It doesn't have a block, doesn't get to draw the extra card, so it's a 4, 5, 6, 7 off of Seigfried. But this card's just like an absolute powerhouse in the flip Earth flip archetype that exists in the game at the moment. And then the last card that we're playing, my big bomb, is 4 Flight of the Wicked. This card closes out games like no other. Discard the top 4 cards, and you get +1 damage for each of my opponent's face down foundations. So there's some times where I'm getting like 9, 10, 11, 15 damage because of how late the game goes, and they have that many face downs because I've just been flipping them with my effects or with Seigfried himself, and then with Seigfried, he gets an additional 3, and then you can't lower that at all. So just like a really, really strong ability to just toss my opponent as far as I can. On to our foundations. The first set of our foundations is going to be the aggressive set, and we've got 4 Presidente of the House. This is the only aggressive foundation that we have in our entire deck. It's just remove 2 foundations from a discard pile to give it +2 damage. Very good on my throws, giving them that little extra pump. Make sure that you do all of your pumping on your foundations before you use Seigfried, or else it doesn't work. In addition to that, it is a block with Breaker 1, so as Seigfried, I can block with Presidente, respond with Breaker 1, then respond with Seigfried, and build it down. I've got this extra resource inside my staging area that I can commit to play checks. And so this card is also not bad to hold and block and try and disrupt a little bit. That's it. That's the only aggressive card that we have, so now we'll move on to our flow cards. We've got Double Dreaming of Becoming Whole. If you notice, my attack lineup has no need for momentum. And so inside of the game, we'll take maybe 1, 2 momentum, and then this card just lets us be a little more aggressive if we happen to draw an entire hand of orange very early. It's also really good spam to build out. It's just an all-around good card. In addition to that, we're playing 4 Desperate for Redemption. This card's amazing, one of Seigfried's strongest cards inside of his kit, especially on the budget that we have. It says, after it's added to my staging area, so after I block with it with Seigfried, I can add one other foundation to my hand, whether that be a face-down foundation, such as Reborn Grinder, or another copy of Desperate Redemption. If I've cut 2 Desperates and I'm able to block with both of them consistently, I can just sit here and just loop them over and over again, and I will always have mid-blocks in my hand. In addition to that, if I build it on my turn and then build it down, I'll be able to pull up whatever cool block I have. And there's a ton of really awesome block options in this deck. Up next, we're playing for Eviscerate. This card says that if you have more face downs than I do in your staging area, which you do, I get to build it down for free to be a little more aggressive. In addition to that, it says response flip after I'm dealt damage, you get to flip a foundation. Really good to be picking back up with Desperate for Redemption. And so it trades my one face up for your one face up, and since my deck runs hot on face down foundations, it's just a really good trade for the 1-for-1 because I'm gonna be forcing you to make hard decisions later. On next, we've got 2 Betrayer of 12. This card just says, after the block step of the attack, if it was blocked, they get to draw a card. If it wasn't blocked, they flip one. And so if they chose not to block the little card, maybe they chose to not give the damage pump because of Seigfried, they will be flipping one regardless. Or if they do decide to flip the foundation and give the thing the extra damage, but then block it anyways, I get to commit and replace the card that I just had. Just an all-around damned if you do, damned if you don't, stuck between a rock and a hard place type of card in this deck. Up next, we're playing for Folktale Storyteller. This is just an onboard copy of Seigfried. After I play it, I can then build it down. It works very similarly to Eviscerate of after you play, you build it down off of a condition. This says discard the top 3, or maybe Seigfried is committed. I then get to clear my card pool, get to build an extra card down on the block. Up next, defensive-wise, we're playing double Know Your Objective. Being able to block cards is very, very good, and just keeps your life total up and lets you build additional cards. We're playing for the Demonic Guard. Flip, if you block a throw attack, it deals some damage. Throws are really, really good at the budget that we're at. And so being able to just say, hey, I will block this, flip block this throw, it deals no damage. After I block, I get to build my foundation down. Or there's sometimes, like I said, you have 6, 7, 8 face down foundations. Being able to flip this and say, hey, -8 damage. It's really, really strong. This card's fantastic. It's a 2/6 with a non-block, but it basically blocks an attack all by itself while it's in the staging area. Up next, blocking-wise, we've got 4 $500 sunglasses. It has a static that says, after you block with it, the attack only deals 1 damage. And so I can choose not to respond, or not use the ability on Seigfried and let them have all of their enhances, wear themselves out, overcommit a little bit, make my easy block, only take the 1 damage, and then build it down in my staging area. And then it's a bit of a disruption card, because after they start playing cool abilities, I'm going to start committing their board. The best block card in our deck, we've got 4 Cool and Focused. After you attempt to block with this card, their speed goes back to printed. Really fantastic versus multiples, really fantastic versus these high speed powerhouse 1-attack decks. I will block with my Cool and Focused, and then with Seigfried, build it back down. The fact that it's on a 2 mid block is amazing. It's really, really strong. Onto a little more defense. As you can see, there's a ton of defense in the deck. 4 Toughest Punk in Junior High. After you would take damage from an attack, reduce the damage you would take by 3. So this card does not affect the number on the card. It affects the damage that is going to be going to the character. So if I use my Cool and Focus and block the Flight of the Wicked, right, the damage I would be taking is cut in half because it is a half block, so I would be taking 3. I can then respond with Toughest Punk in Junior High and then only take 0. Yeah, that's right, you heard me. This card is fantastic in a character that wants to half block, partial block every attack that you possibly can in order to get the most advantage out of it. My last defensive card is we're playing Triple Sank and Saintly Beast. Flip -3 speed, or -2 speed, or +2 speed. A lot of times I use the +2 speed on my non-throw attacks because I don't necessarily care how fast the throws are. They're going to get the job done. But the Pilgrimages and the Reborn Grinders, those need to be a little quicker, and so I wanted to put this last just to like separate it out just a little bit. In addition to that, it's also got Breaker 1, so it's got that really good, hey, I'll block with this card, I'll build it down, I'll be able to mill my 3 -2 speed and then block again. This card's very, very, very strong in Seigfried. Probably could be a 4 of. Onto some disruption. We've got double Commander of Outworld Armies. This card says response flip. After you take damage from an unblocked attack, you get to flip one of your opponent's foundations. You get to pick, and the next attack turn gets -2. So if you happen to get this off, you use Commander to give it -2, then Seigfried for another -2, and basically you're just going to be taking no damage from a bunch of attacks, as well as continuing your flip gameplay. We're playing double Loyal Servant. I put this card in defense because of the flip return it to high or low, but it easily could be in a disruption because of the commit your opponent discards a card. If you happen to save this for your opponent's turn and they stay in deadlock because Seigfried loves to go have big, huge staging areas because of how he works, you can deadlock enhance commit on their turn, make them discard a card. It comes back to you, commit, they'll discard another card. So the course of 2 turns, you make them discard 2, and if you have like 3 or 4 attack cards in hand, especially Fight of the Wickeds, you just kill them. They're just dead. On to our last disruption cards. We're playing 1 Police Connections. Obviously, we get to see how big and effective flipping cards is. This card says if one of my other cards would be flipped, I get to flip this guy instead. Not to mention, this is a really good 1 mid block. And then my last card is 1 Venomous. If there were attempts to add cards to your hand by drawing or just adding a card, you get to destroy this. It is playable while committed. It does not have a block, so it's not amazing in Seigfried. But having this card out versus those really powerful Nutcrackers or Hellfire Impalements or whatever, this card is fantastic, and it's an uncommon, so we can definitely afford it. And there you have it. There's the Seigfried deck that we played for this week's budget battle. If you like this deck and you want to see more of it, make sure you check out all of the videos that we have out here on the channel featuring Seigfried. Or if you want to join us live and watch, please go to twitch.tv/TCGU University. Every Tuesday, we play an 8-man top 8-man single elimination bracket out there. It is an absolute blast. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so by going to patreon.com/TCG University. Sub out there at least the $1 level. Every little bit helps you guys keep the lights on, and you get a ton of awesome extra content. So from all of us here at TCGU, thank you very much for watching, and stay light.